What is up, gamers? Welcome back to another Predecessor video. It is time to get into V.18 tier list. A lot has changed, mainly because of 6 items, but also we have a new hero. Let's get right into this one, and as always, if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. We start off with Countess, who I don't think technically got a buff or a nerf with the 6 item patch. I think she is generally where she was, maybe a tad bit worse in the early game, but overall, I think this champion is still very amazing in jungle. I wouldn't recommend it in mid lane unless you go Orb of Growth first. I think for that reason, I am gonna put her in A tier. She could potentially be A+. We only look at her as a jungler, she would be A+, so I'm gonna average it out to around A tier. Moving to Crunch, I think Crunch actually fell a little bit off in offlane, but I think he is much better in jungle right now. The core bruiser build feels really good. I made a video about that one a few days ago, so check that one out. I do think he is actually pretty good, very underrated by a lot of people. I'm gonna put him right above Countess because I think he is better off at playing more roles than Countess, and the average would average out to maybe slightly higher than Countess, but still in the same tier. If we're talking about pub games, which I am, I think that most people will opt to play Dekker because she feels really good to play. She's very easy to play. She is elusive. She has a lot of tools in her kit, and I think the new items helped her out quite a bit. Being able to deal a lot more damage, being more potent as a ranged support, dealing more damage, abusing other supports who needs to scale. And for that reason, I actually think I'm moving Dekker up from my previous tier list, where she was right about in the middle, maybe even lower middle. I think now she is very, very strong. Moving to Drongo, I've already talked a lot about ADCs in previous videos, where on-hit is currently meta, so you obviously also want to build Drongo a bit on-hit, but there is a crit build that works out well for him. Unfortunately, I do think you lose a lot more on Drongo than you do on other ADCs when building on-hit. So for that reason, I do think he's one of the weaker ADCs, but I am going to put him at A tier, just at the bottom. So Feng Mao actually got hit pretty hard this patch. I don't really see him being that strong of an offlaner anymore. I do not think his jungle was ever good, if I'm being honest. I don't think it was good before. I definitely don't think it is good right now. His mid lane is definitely gone. Mid laners are so strong in the game, so playing Feng Mao mid lane also not as good. His best role is going to be offlane, but it is not going to be good for him. I think he falls down to C tier. Back then, he was probably S or A+, so this patch definitely shut down on Feng Mao quite heavily. I moved to Gadget, and I actually have a very different opinion on Gadget, going from pub games to competitive games. I think in comp games, she is much more desirable than pub games, which is what I'm basing it on. I do not think she is one of the better mid laners. She is definitely good, but I do not think she is as good as other mid laners. So for that reason, I am gonna have to put her B tier. High B tier, of course. I do not think she is anywhere close to where Feng Mao is. You could consider putting Gadget at the lower tier of A, but I think this is a fair spot for her right now. I absolutely love Gideon, but I think he is so broken right now that I don't even try to play him. I think it is completely unfair playing the champ. So for that reason, I am actually like striving away from playing him. He is completely broken. There's no way around it. Honestly, man, Greystone is one of the better tanks this game. You start by going some bruiser items in your first 2 to 3 items, and then you fully transition into tank items, and you're an absolute menace on the battlefield. One of the better tanks in the game. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in A tier, right above Drongo. I think that is a fair spot for Greystone. Grux is so Gruxing this patch. I am actually debating putting him in S tier. The only reason I kind of don't want to put him in S tier is because he still suffers from the Grux syndrome, which is without blink in teamfights, he can become a bit useless, but he is so unbelievably good right now. He can 1v2 ganks on cooldown. You have to shut this champ down, you need CC, you need lockdown, you need many resources to shut this champion down instantly, that if you don't, he becomes an absolute threat in the game. So I'm going to put him at high A+. So Howitzer is that one champ that I actually haven't really touched this patch, so I can only judge based on what I've seen from other people playing it, which is a bit unfair on him. I'm not totally impressed with what I've seen so far. Maybe on EU people are building him wrong, I do not know, but for that reason, I'm actually going to put him at A tier, right in front of Drongo. I am not so sure about this one though. We move to Kallari. Kallari, another assassin like Feng Mao, who can get leads a lot better than Feng Mao can. However, her clear feels absolutely shit. She is so slow, so unbelievably slow, that I don't know how you can keep up with levels with other people. I remember playing a game on Kallari and it felt horrendous trying to keep up with what's happening around the map. I do not think she's bad. If you're snowballing, you're snowballing. You're doing much better than you can do on Feng Mao. However, I do not think she is anywhere as good as she was on the 5-item patch. I'll put her B tier. Khaimera is absolutely insane this patch. He is one of the better junglers. There's a lot of items that really work well for him. Something like Sky Splitter, something like Kingsbane. Again, Bruisers are really good. Tanks are not so much, so something like Kai is going to be pretty damn strong this patch. I'm going to put him, I think A+ is pretty fair. Not in front of Grux, because Grux beats the living shit out of him, but he is still very, very damn strong. We all know how good ADCs are this patch. On-hit Kira feels pretty good. Again, she kind of wants to build crit, but you can still go for about 60% crit rate on her build, or even 80% crit rate, as long as you go Stormbreaker and Sky Splitter. So her build is still not too bad. I think she is very strong. She's definitely stronger than Drongo. I'm going to put her at the bottom of A+. Moving to Lt.Belica, she feels so much weaker than what she was before this patch. I feel like she is probably the second worst mage in the game. So for that reason, I am going to put her down at C tier. Morigesh is one of those champions that people who play her know she is so unbelievably strong, whilst people who don't care about her think that she is piss weak. Unfortunately, there's a reason she's getting nerfed. She's getting very nerfed in next patch. There's a reason for it, and that's because she is absolutely insane right now. I am going to put her right in front of Dekker. I think she is definitely A+ material, one of the better mages in the game right now. We move to Murdock. Murdock is basically a better Kira right now. Anything I said about Kira literally applies to Murdock. I am gonna put them next to each other. I just think Murdock is just slightly better. Muriel actually is pretty damn strong. A lot of people do not realize this. I feel like I have not seen a lot of Muriels in pub games, but maybe with ranked in play, with ranked in mind, where teams will try to care a bit more about team comp and play the map correctly, is where people are going to start realizing how good this champion is. This champion is taking over right now in the comp scene in a lot of scrims. Unfortunately, I'm still basing this on pubs, but I still cannot put this champion down low. I feel like people just need to start playing the champion and understand how good the new items are on her. Basically, same exact thing goes for Narbash that I just said for Muriel. He's probably better than Muriel at doing this because he is easier to play. Of course, he needs to scale just like Muriel, but he also has a good lane into Muriel. So, literally, all I said for Muriel applies for Narb. You know what, actually, just to show the level between these two champs, I'm gonna drop down Muriel to A+. She's still incredibly good, but I just wanna point out how Narb is just slightly better than Muriel right now. The reason FaZe is so good is not because of new items. It's basically because of the on-hit items being so good. When on-hit items are good, guess what? Her ultimate becomes much better. There's also a very good champion that synergizes really well with FaZe, which is Sparrow, who is absolutely destroying every lobby right now. So that makes FaZe one of the better supports in the game. I'm gonna put her right in front of Dekker, maybe even Morigesh. Right about here. I think that's completely fair. One good thing to note on FaZe as well, she is very good with Grux, she is very good with Khaimera as well. So you can see why she is one of the better supports right now. We move to Rampage. I'll just be brutally honest, he is kind of shit. There's no way around it. He is not like completely horrible. If you want to play him, have some fun. Just know that it's not the same Rampage that we had last patch. So for that reason, I'm gonna put him at the bottom of C tier. Moving to Revenant, again, another champion that's currently bugged, so it feels unfair, but also his build path is complete and utter dog shit. There's only 4 good crit items for him. There's not a good 5th crit item. So unfortunately, I have to be harsh. I think he is the worst champion in the game right now. Okay, Riktor, I don't want to be too harsh on Riktor, but I feel like he is not as durable anymore. Mainly as support, I think his jungle is a bit slow in terms of clear. I think offlane, I haven't seen enough of it, so I cannot really rate his offlane state. So I have to judge him based off support, based off jungle. I think he is pretty weak. So I'm gonna put him B tier. This one's weird because on-hit items are so good and Serath uses on-hit items, but this champion goes from being really good for 25 minutes to kind of being pretty shit, depending how the enemy team is playing. So if you're in a like low tier lobby where people just play the game just to play the game, she might pop off because everyone is giving you a lot of space to work with. But if you're in a game where like at least people understand better how to play the game, I feel like this champion just falls off. From my experience, this champion just falls off. You can be 10-0, 20-0, the champion will fall off. You can still end games when she is massive and when the other team still needs to catch up. But with that in mind, it's still a little bit too hard for being that massive in the game. So I'm going to put her at the bottom of A tier. Honestly, Sev is just pretty weak. I don't want to put him in C tier because I think that's unfair to compare Sev with what is in C tier right now, but he's so weak, man. I'm gonna put him at the bottom of B tier. I think jungle is his best role. I think solo lane is actually pretty weak for Sev right now. We move to Shinbi, who is actually being played quite a lot. I think she's very strong right now. There's a lot of good items. Mages, of course, got treated really well with items. She can build a lot more HP AP items now, who don't give you stats like tenacity that you want on Shinbi. So generally her build path feels a lot better, and she can kind of 1v2, 1v3 when she has enough items. The issue is haste. I feel like there's not too many good haste options on her, but she's still very good. I am gonna be putting her high on the A tier list. I think I'll put her right here. So again, Steel, just like Greystone, is definitely one of the better tanks. His solo lane is actually pretty good right now. You just build like something like Ella Frost and Fist of Razor, Flux Matrix. Just go a bit of damage, and then your last 3 items, you go a bit more tanky. That general build allows him to have a bit more kill pressure than you usually used to. And you don't need to like just be tanky right off the bat, right? Like it's completely fine to try to 1v1 your offlaner. He can kind of do that in some matchups. Some other matchups, it's a little bit rough. So for that reason, I am going to put him at A tier. I think he is completely fine to play right now. Definitely not too good, but still pretty good. I'll put him right here. I love Faye, man. I think Faye is a very good hero. I don't think she is insane by any means, but I would definitely much rather have a Faye than a Howitzer right now. I think she can abuse some items better than a Howitzer can. So for that reason, I'm just gonna put her right above Howitzer, but not by much. So I'm gonna judge TB based on his better build right now, which is on hit TB. Pen TB, absolutely god awful, do not build it. On hit TB is pretty damn strong. I think he goes in between these two champions at A+. I mean, do I have to talk about this champion? Like, honestly, do I have to talk about Zarus? He's absolutely broken, man. Zarus is just Zarus. We all know what Zarus is. Absolutely broken champion. Sparrow is the most buff champion in this patch. She went from completely unplayable to absolutely insane. She is definitely S tier material. She is so unbelievably strong. If you pair her with FaZe, get ready to 1v9. So Wraith's build path has actually changed a lot in version 0.18. Of course, you have to go still a stacking item, so you still have to sit on Chalice. You just probably go Malady and then into Vank, into Penumbra, into Omen, and Perforator. Of course, the last 3 items you just kind of swap around, see what fits and what doesn't. Of course, you want Perforator a bit earlier on. You don't want it as last item. I'm just saying the general build for Wraith is actually not that bad on paper, but it is definitely a downgrade from what he had. I do think he can pop off if he gets leads, but I don't think he can carry games like he used to. So I'm going to be putting him at the top of B tier. I might be a bit unfair on the champion, but that's where I see him. Bro. Iggy is absolutely insane this patch. I don't know if you guys have noticed it. I don't know if you guys have played it or played against it, but he is absolutely insane in mid lane. If you guys are mid lane mains, you definitely know how annoying it is to deal with Iggy. He doesn't lose pressure. He doesn't lose prio. He is an absolute menace. He is scaling for free. If he feels like he's being threatened in lane, he goes Orb of Growth. If he doesn't, he goes straight into Mega Cosm and absolutely starts stealing damage like crazy. Objectives, no problem. This guy has no weakness right now. Absolute S tier champion. We'll put him in S tier. So Kwang is still Kwang. Of course, I do think he is slightly nerfed from where he was, mainly because of tank items and how much damage mages are doing to tanks and how much damage ADCs are doing with on-hit items. So for that reason, I have to lower him down from where he was before, but he is still pretty damn strong. I do not think he's S tier anymore. I do think he's maybe A+, and that's where I'm going to put him. I am going to put him around here. I think that's completely fair for Kwang. He is still pretty damn good. Oh, brother, we all remember how strong this champion was on release and for about a month. And now he is absolutely, without a shadow of the doubt, the worst mage in the game. Probably one of the worst heroes in the game. I think if you play the champ, you play him in support. If you play him mid, good luck dealing no damage for about 25 minutes. I would not recommend playing it. The only reason I'm going to be putting him above Rev actually is because Rev's build path is so god-awful that it just, I cannot put him below Revenant. Grim is undisputedly one of the better ADCs in the game right now. His build path is so good. He deals so much damage. On hit or not, it does not matter. Of course, you still want to go on hit because it's the way. For that reason, I do think he's S tier. I do think it is very close between these two champions. I'm going to put them next to each other. You guys can debate who is the better ADC. I think they're both a fair choice. Okay, I already see it. Some people are not going to like this rating. I do not think she's as good as everyone makes it out to be. I think she's very good. I do not think she's very, very, very good. I think she is probably the top of A tier, above everyone else in A tier, but I don't think she's better than that. I think she is okay in off lane. She's okay in the jungle. If you have set up for her, she becomes really good. If you play in choke points, she becomes very good. She has her weakness, she has her strengths. I just don't think she's as broken as people think she is. The thing that might be broken on her is her passive. It kind of does a lot of damage. So this is the tier list for V.18. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you would change. Let me know what you are enjoying playing and what you hate seeing on the enemy team. I will catch you tomorrow for another Predecessor gameplay video. Peace out, gamers.